It strikes me that just so much of the training that we get involved with focusing on deficits in some particular way. Now, I think that those particular approaches by definition have a lot to offer, but they also have some major shortcomings, and this 4-day course on resource-based therapies takes a radically different view of this. This course actually provides a totally fresh and new way of thinking about working with clients. For a start, it's focused exclusively, and I do mean exclusively, on outcomes. It's focusing solely on where the client wishes to get to. It focuses on thriving. It focuses on what it is that the client wants to have as an alternative to the actual problem that they're trying to get to grips with. Secondly, and I think this is a really, really important element of the course, this course does not attempt to teach clients new things. This course does not attempt to teach clients new things. This course does not attempt to teach clients new things. This is not about pointing out to clients that the way in which they're currently approaching things is the wrong way and that another way is a better alternative. This course is about identifying what the client already has and which they can already use, which they then use more frequently and in a more skilled way. We're going to be giving over 2 modules to Brief Solution Focused Therapy. Brief Solution Focused Therapy goes with what the client has already used, which they have found to be effective in terms of diminishing their particular problem or moving them in the direction to which they'll go. One of the great things about Brief Solution Focused work, it provides a way of conceptualizing people's difficulties and conceptualizing a way in which they can move forward, which is easily understood by both the client and the practitioner. It bypasses this difficulty of where do I start. It also, I think, helps the client to feel less stuck, to feel less in a cul-de-sac, to be less in a position of saying something along the lines of, well, of course I'd like to address this, but there's X, Y, and Z in the way, and if only Z was to change, then I'd be able to do something. All of those difficulties, which I'm sure you are as familiar with as I am, are bypassed using this particular approach. One of the nice things about positive therapy is that it has a mixture of both teaching people new skills, which is great, but also about helping people to identify what it is that they already have and encourage them to use that in a more skilled way. Positive therapy addresses a perennial issue of relapse. We know in practice that relapse is extremely common with a number of different types of problems that we're working with people on. Now, I think genuinely that one of the reasons why relapse occurs for many people is because the problem that they've had has dominated their life very often for a very long time. So when we do work with them, which helps them to shrink that particular problem, so it becomes a less dominating feature in their life, very often people are left with a vacuum. They're left with a gap which has got nothing to fill it. And unfortunately, because nature abhors a vacuum, very often people look to fill that vacuum in some particular way. And what's the most readily available thing to do that? The return of the problem. One of the great things about positive therapy is, again, it bypasses that issue. By focusing on developing alternatives, what this actually does is that it enables people to change in a way which shrinks their particular problem, but on the other hand, it automatically provides alternatives which fill it and which have a big impact on relapse. And what we're going to be doing in our certificate on resource-based therapies is looking at how to identify that dissatisfaction that already exists within the client. It already exists. We don't have to create that motivation for the client. We first of all have to help the client identify it. We have to elicit it from the client. And I think particularly importantly is we then have to look at how we can help the client to amplify that sense of dissatisfaction, either in terms of moving away from something which they're unhappy with or moving towards something that they'd like to have as an alternative. I hope you're going to be a part of the work that we're doing on this certificate on resource-based therapies. It's a very exciting new development for us within SDS. It's a course which has been approved by the Learning Centre of the British Psychological Society. If you'd like to be involved and you'd like to book, either go on the website, which is www.skillsdevelopment.co.uk, or alternatively, if you'd like to book by phone, if you'd like to ring this number here, and they'll take your details and move the whole situation forward. Thank you for your time.